Well, let's talk to Kganki Matabane, who is the CEO and Executive Director of the Black Business Council, as well as Phakamile Hlubi-Majola, who speaks for Numsa. Thank you very much to both of you for joining us at a moment's notice. Kganki, maybe to kick off with you, we know that, Durator hasn't really enjoyed the BBC's support for the longest time. Your reaction to the developments of this afternoon?
Good afternoon, Iman and the viewers. We did welcome the Durator's appointment when he was appointed in 2019. And we gave him 2 years because 18 months is enough for a CEO to turn around a company or an institution. And unfortunately, he failed. If you look at all the evidence, like currently we are losing 4 billion rands per day. As per the report by CSIR, and that cannot be celebrated, especially for a country that is struggling with unemployment. We've got 70% youth unemployment, we've got around 40% general unemployment. The economy is growing, so we have to find a solution that will deal with the load shedding. And then it has been proven by scientists and engineers that renewable energy is a addition to what is called base load electricity. So renewables on their own, they won't solve any load shedding because as we speak now, Eskom has got 6,000 additional electricity, but that electricity is solar. And then that solar does not help us in any way. And you may have seen in Europe, Europe is buying our coal. The coal that they are buying from us has increased by 800%. The UK has just approved the establishment of a coal power station that they are going to construct. So you can see Europe itself does not believe in renewables, but they want us to believe in renewables. So in Eskom, you need a CEO that will solve the current Eskom problem and to make sure that the current power stations that we have give us enough electricity, because the installed electricity that we have in South Africa is enough to end load shedding.
All right. Let me give Phakamile Hlubi-Majola a chance to respond on Numsa's behalf. And Numsa has repeatedly condemned both the executive and the board of Eskom for the ongoing load shedding. And you've also accused Durator in the past as well of kind of promoting a scenario at Eskom where there'd be room and scope for privatization. So we'd be very interested in your thoughts this evening as Numsa on today's developments vis-a-vis Durator's resignation.
Good evening, Iman, and good evening to your viewers, and thank you for having me on the show. As Numsa, we're absolutely overjoyed at the news that Andre Durator has finally taken the decision to resign. It is certainly in the interest of the country. It is in the interest of the economy. His resignation was way overdue. Numsa has been saying from the moment that he was appointed that he was the wrong person for the job from the beginning. He was a lawyer coming from Nampak with no experience in managing a power utility like Eskom, no engineering background, and we felt that that was going to be a disastrous combination, and unfortunately we've been proven right. He has proven to be the worst CEO in the history of Eskom. We have the lowest energy availability factor. Our economy is collapsing. Patients are dying. As a trade union, we've experienced massive retrenchments as a result of plant closures and company closures. And in many of the Section 189 consultations that we participate in, the main reason for why companies are closing down is because of persistent load shedding. So we are very, very happy that he's been removed. We must also state, though, that we disagree vehemently with your expert that was in your insert earlier on, who seems to promote the idea that we need more renewables. As has been said by your guest on the show from the Black Business Council, you cannot power an economy on renewable energy. And I think this is a narrative in South Africa that must stop. Europe is shifting away from depending on renewables, because you cannot use renewable energy as baseload. You need coal or you need nuclear. And the decision to close down coal-powered fire stations was one of our biggest mistakes, because we're taking away an energy supply that we need in this country. So one of the things we would like to see urgently happening, besides replacing Director with somebody who's actually qualified and understands the difference between bad quality coal and good quality coal, is we would like to see a shift in a focus from a dependence on renewable to solve our energy crisis, and for us to actually go back to coal, because at the end of the day, this is what Europe is doing. They themselves can see that this is not working. So I don't understand why South Africa is rushing to implement an intermittent form of technology which cannot sustain us and sustain our industrial our industrial development.
Look, it's both an ideological and a practical question, Phakamile and Kganki, I'm sure, which would need, weeks to really dissect and get to the core of. But as we close our interview, looking to the future, we don't have time to waste. In the absence and the exit, if it's accepted by the board, we've yet to hear of Andre de Ruyter. We are sitting with a dire situation around extended load shedding. You've both made the case for how it's affected our economy. What needs to happen now, very briefly, and who needs to make it happen? Kganki, we'll start with you. Phakamile, you can close it.
Yes, I think that the board must accept his resignation. He has proven his incompetence, and we don't need him to be there any longer. What we need a fixer or a turnaround specialist to fix Eskom, to fix the current fleet, because as we indicated, we've got 45,000 installed megawatts in South Africa, and we only use like around 30,000. So there's actually supposed to be 15,000 megawatts that is sitting idling all the time. But because the CEO and the COO of Eskom did not have a clue of what to do in terms of maintaining the fleet and making it work, because they were busy promoting renewables, they didn't do anything about it. When we met with the president around July, we had agreed that should be the focus of Eskom and the entire country, to make sure that we resolve and sort out the current Eskom fleet. And the CEO was busy promoting electric vehicles and all those kind of things that are not his core business.
All right.
And he was supposed to have been fired a long time ago by calling his own employer a dead horse.
All right, Phakamile, close it for us. What happens now, and who's the person to make it happen?
Well, I mean, let's not forget that in the past, we actually had CEOs who were able to end load shedding, which means that the technical skills of dealing with this crisis are within Eskom itself. And this is why we say that we would like them to go back and make sure that they find someone with the skills and the ability. In the past, it was Brian Molefe and Matela Koko. There are other people at Eskom who can definitely also do this kind of work. But also at the same time, Numsa has always supported an energy mix, and included in that energy mix is coal. We don't support the premature closure of coal-fired power stations. Not only does it result in massive job losses, which are never going to be replaced, we are suffering right now because we suddenly have no power. So we would need whoever takes over to actually be able to utilize what is there. I mean, the CEO of the BBC was absolutely correct to say we have actually enough installed capacity. We just need the right people who know what they're doing, so that they can ensure that these power stations are able to perform optimally in order to provide us the necessary electricity that we need in order to drive our economy.
Thank you to Kganki Matabane, who's the CEO and Executive Director of the Black Business Council. The voice there as well of Phakamile Hlubi-Majola, who speaks for Numsa.